Gary Cartwright, you're presenting a report today at the Press Club in Brussels on the dangers of man-made vitreous fibres. Why have you written this report?
Okay, well, man-made vitreous fibres, MMVF, or commonly known as mineral wool, rock wool, stone wool, this is the material that we all know because this is the material we use to insulate our homes and businesses. It provides thermal insulation, acoustic insulation, soundproofing. It's pretty much everywhere. But the problem is that there are very, very serious health hazards associated with this product that the public don't know about. Even people working in the trade are unaware of exactly what they're exposing themselves by working with this material. And that's what we're hoping to do with this report, to really raise public awareness of the issues and also to call upon legislators to act in the interests of public health.
What are the dangers of this material?
Well, originally this material was classified by the World Health Organization as carcinogenic. It was declassified some years ago after some testing on this product showed that it was no longer carcinogenic because the composition had been altered. However, those tests were carried out in the 1990s on product which is not actually what we're buying in the shops. This is not actually what we're putting into our lofts and in our walls, because one key component of the material, a binder, was actually removed for the testing. So actually there are still very, very serious questions about the carcinogenic risk, and in fact the European Union still does classify it as a level 2 carcinogenic, which basically means that there is potential risk of cancer. But the big issue is actually pulmonary fibrosis and indeed other lung diseases. If you've worked with mineral wool, you will know that there are very, very fine fibres, that it's very easy to disturb those. They come up into the air and we breathe these in, and when you've got them in your lungs, you've got them for good. They're there forever. And we are seeing people who have worked in the industry, for example, with as much as 90% loss of lung capacity as a result of working with this product. Unfortunately, we as members of the public, when we insulate our lofts, I'm sure that most people have had that experience once or twice in their lives, we don't know about the dangers. But interestingly, neither do those working in the industry. It's simply not explained to them.
So what needs to be done?
I'm basically making 3 suggestions here, 3 recommendations. The first one, the most important actually, is the retesting of the product. We need to know exactly what it is that we're buying, not what was tested in the 1990s, but what are we actually buying today. The tests were flawed and they're out of date. The second one is product labelling. There's no legal requirement to actually label this product as a health hazard. If you buy this in your DIY store or from a builder's merchant, you'll notice that tucked away in an unobtrusive part of the packaging, you may see reference to wearing a face mask or ventilating the room in which you're working. Well, ventilating the room in which you're working, if you get a breeze in the room, that's blowing these fibres around. It's whipping them up and you're breathing them in. So the packaging needs to be more clear so that people do understand what will happen to them if they don't wear a face mask. It's absolutely essential. Also with gloves, mineral wool can cause irritations to the skin. Of course, that's not as serious as what it's doing to our lungs and the potential carcinogenic effects. And also when it comes to site workers, construction workers, you will notice that on building sites across the European Union, the workers are wearing protective footwear, protective headgear, high visibility jackets, heavy gloves, etc. They're actually obliged to do this. There's a legal obligation upon the employers, upon the site managers, to ensure that all of their workers are properly protected. Now, what I'm calling for is a similar legislation to protect those who are working with insulation. Insulation is actually very high on the political agenda at the moment. We're all concerned about rising fuel prices, we're concerned about CO2 emissions, and insulation is very much seen as a way to address these issues. So as we see more and more insulation, we're seeing in many countries, we're seeing people given grants to insulate their homes. They really need to know what they're working with.